So hi everyone, welcome to the first demo day of the year. First of all, for the one that were here during the last demo day, I want to say sorry for my terrible connection the last time, honestly. I was at my mom's for Christmas and she's in the middle of the Alps and the internet is super unreliable here. But today it should be fine because I'm back in London. So finger crossed, it should be all good. If you are new to the demo day, the goal is to show you what has been done at Qovery during the last months, and also tell you a bit more about what is coming. And feel free to ask any question you have in the chat. We will answer them as fast as possible. Just keeping in mind there is a slight delay between the chat and the live. And hello, Pierre. Nice to have you here. Always the first one to be connected. But yeah, so the last time I had the whole team with me during the event. It's not the case today. I do have a part of the team in the chat, which is great. But I have two guests of exception that has never been here before. No, I'm joking. So
Exactly.
I have Romaric, CEO of Qovery. Apparently, is a favorite CEO of Pierre, so good to know. And I
Yeah,
also
good to
have
know.
yeah, and I also have Alessandro, lead product manager at Qovery. So hi to both of you. Thank you for being here.
Thanks to you, Albane. Hello,
Yeah,
everyone.
thanks, Alban. It's a pleasure to see that your internet connections works
Yeah.
well today.
So far, yeah. So, okay, so let me go a little bit through the agenda. So first, we will have a small introduction of Qovery. Then we will move on to what has been released last month, followed by a demo of the jobs feature by Romaric on my right or left. Then we will talk about what is coming, and then we'll finish with a bit of Q&A. So I'm aware that some people might not know Qovery here, maybe. So Romaric, can you tell us a bit more about what is Qovery?
Yes, of course. If you can just like switch, yes. So just basically, so Qovery, I'm probably sure that you're already familiar with the platform, but it's what we call and define as a self-service infrastructure platform that you can install on your cloud account. And that helps you and your developers like to deploy their application in the cloud in a very efficient way. So just basically, we solve like the issue of like all those companies that are just struggling to get more ops people inside their company. So when you're like a developer, you're opening up like a ticket to get access to a few resources, and you just struggle to get like those resources. The idea is that we make sure that ops people can just keep the control of the infrastructure and the governance that is necessary just to make sure that the things run in a perfect way, and provide access to the resources to those developers. So then from that, developers can just self-serve like those resources. So deploy their applications, databases, and all those things in a very self-serve way, basically. So that's what we do provide at Qovery. It runs on the cloud account of our users. So on your AWS account, on your Scaleway account, we are going to provide like other like a cloud provider. And then from that, you're ready to go, basically. So today on the platform, so just if you can, yeah, I can click like on the, we have more than 40,000 like developers using the platform, so around the world. So that's quite good. And if you can turn just one more thing, and the platforms just integrates like well in your working environment. What does that mean? It means that if you are using already like a CI/CD pipeline platform, then we integrate into that element. So into GitHub Actions, GitLab CI, as your DevOps, you can integrate Qovery in a very efficient way. We also provide like the access to, and the connections like to your Git providers, so GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket, your container registries, obviously, and three different interfaces that we do provide. We have like a beautiful and very nice like web interface made by our like product team that is like quite exciting. And we have also like a CLI and Terraform provider, but even an API that you can use to just like programmatically control everything, basically. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Romaric. Once again, super clear. So moving on, I think we can talk about what has been done in the last month. So firstly, we have a new landing page.
Whoa.
So yeah, so in September we released a V3 version of our Qovery console. So it really made sense to also have a new landing page because we obviously wanted to showcase the V3 and not the old version. So we have this brand new landing page, which is very beautiful. And you should, so there is also like several interesting parts in this landing page. Like we decided to show a bit more of partnership, of the events. The changelog is more visible as well because you have a timeline of the changelog. So if you haven't seen it, go and take a look right now. You won't be disappointed, I promise.
It's just a landing page, but it's part of it's part really of the product development. We spend so many times just to iterate on that landing page, and everyone that is working on a landing page know how complex it is to just like put a few words about what you're doing and all those things. So yeah, we can be like a bit proud about of it. So
exactly. And you even have like, I think there is even like a video like showing the V3 platform. So if you're not using the V3 yet, you should be excited about it when you see it on video. But yeah, so that was for the first thing. So thank you. I can see that Remy is on the chat tonight. Thank you, Remy, because he's the one that took care of the platform of like the new landing page on the front end side. So thanks, Remy. It's beautiful. And yeah, next, I'm not sure I'm the best person to talk about it, but we had like a significant change in the CLI. It has been like all redone, I think, or mostly redone. A lot have been added. They are like command for application, container, environment, database, and jobs as well. I don't know if you have anything else to add about it.
Yeah, but yeah, maybe Alessandro, if you have like some stuff, but basically you can. So now we try to add more feature in the CLI because we know that it's an interface that is used by our users. So obviously it's open source also. So if you need to add like anything, you can just like contribute and open a pull request on that. But basically what we did during the last month is that we added a few commands like to control like the environments, to clone the environments, to deploy any kinds of applications, like from the containerized application to the Git applications and all those elements. So now you can just like update right away your CLI. And something that is also quite interesting because what we did is that we also try to make sure that Qovery can be integrated into any CI system that is already in place. And the best way, so we take advantage of like upgrading the CLI to make sure that this CLI can be used into any CI pipeline. And the documentation has been updated, so you can take a look at all of that. But basically, if you want now to integrate like a Qovery into your CI pipeline, you no longer need to like use our API. That could be quite challenging, but you can directly use the CLI. That's basically the main purpose of those changes and those upgrades during the last weeks. Yeah. Do you want to add something, Alessandro, on that part?
No, probably. I think you said 100% of it. So it's mine.
Okay.
Nice. Okay, so coming next. It's now time to address the elephant in the room. So a few demo days ago, Alessandro actually walked us through Lifecycle jobs and Cronjob that were in development at the time. And I'm super proud to say that jobs are now available. But we don't want to spend like just 2 minutes talking about it with a picture because Romaric is gonna do a great demo about it. So over to you, Romaric, and tell us everything about it and show us everything about it.
Yeah, can you share my screen? Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, so yeah, basically the jobs, lifecycle jobs is really like the way that we have created to extend the solutions, to extend Qovery, the ability of Qovery. You know, that Qovery is running on a Kubernetes. It's able to deploy like containerized applications, a standard application from Git, databases that we do provide as well that are available. But now we have like a third option, at least there's 2 new options like the cron jobs and the lifecycle jobs. So behind the scenes, it's almost the same, so technically speaking, but it's not the same purpose in terms of product. But basically, what you can do now is just creating what we call a lifecycle job. Okay, so the lifecycle job is something that is like really useful, especially when you want to start to do some special stuff around your environment. Let's say that you want to create a database, an external database. So here I have an example. So it's a Postgres a database provided by Haven. Because I'm working like on and I say hi to Sebastian that is working with me on that demo. So we are Haven. But basically, if you want to create and deploy any kind of resources, so let's say a Postgres database from Haven, you can create a lifecycle job. What does that mean? It means that at the creation, so what you can set is that at the creation of this environment, you want to execute, for instance, here, a Terraform command. And inside this Terraform command, so the manifest that is used behind is just basically using the Haven like a Terraform provider behind the scene. So that's what you can do with the lifecycle job. So you can say that, yes, at the creation of this environment, I want to create like these external resources. At the deletion of this environment or this service, so this lifecycle job, I want to execute this command to destroy like the external resource. And it's really like a beautiful way of integrating any kind of services with Qovery. And because we want also, and you know how Qovery works, we have like a secret an environment variables management system and a secret management system that is well in place and is like a quite powerful and make sure that you can spread like the information across the different services. What we have spent some time to work on is that we make sure that obviously, because when you create like an external resource, what happens is that this external resource with Terraform, you know, if you are already familiar with Terraform, that sometimes you get the information only at the execution. You know, like the endpoints, the credentials can be like just generated by the cloud provider or the external service at the execution. And what we have done with Qovery is that you have a way. So if we go back to here to the settings of that job, you see that we are doing and executing a Terraform output JSON into a specific file. By doing that, what you do is that you inject back all the credentials, so all the informations that you set into your output file, and make it accessible, those values, to the other services from the same environment. And that's a super powerful way of bridging all together like different Terraform and services that are working all together that can run on Qovery, but also externally. And this is what we see here. So for this example that I'm working on with Haven, where we can see, so this application, this to-do application is basically deployed by Qovery, okay, on Kubernetes, on Qovery, on my AWS account, but the database itself, Postgres1, is deployed on Haven. Here, it's accessible on Haven. So this application is just basically connected to this Haven database. And because we know only the endpoints and the credentials at the creation of this database, we are using this output JSON like a system to inject back all the variables that are like interpolated at the runtime. And that's what we see here. So those variables are accessible at the runtime of these applications, basically. So it's a bit complex maybe to understand and just to grasp in just a few minutes. But if you want to take a look, we have a great lifecycle example repository, basically, that you can just take a look. We have also an article, so we have a few tutorials explaining how you can take advantage of it. But just keep in mind that if you want to deploy, so a few use cases that you can find is that, let's say that you want to deploy lambdas serverless functions with Qovery, you can do that. EC2 instances, if you want to seed your database even, you can use lifecycle job and so on and so forth. So you can do a lot of things. Do you want to add something concerning that, Alessandro? Because maybe...
I think you said most everything. Yeah, what you have to keep in mind that the lifecycle jobs basically was a way for us to extend the possibility that Qovery already offers you natively. So as Romaric said, you can create database natively, application, etc. But if something that you see that is missing, let's say, from the native offer of Qovery, you can use lifecycle job and basically create your Terraform script or Pulumi or whatever to manage the lifecycle of a resource that it's either in AWS or Scaleway or maybe outside of those, and then just as Romaric said, inject the variables back. And the other use case, as Romaric said as well, is if you had to inject or process some data at the startup of the environment, you can use the lifecycle job. You just say that you want the code to be executed at the startup of the environment, and that's it. They will do, and we manage it via the lifecycle.
Yeah, perfectly. Thanks for like the complementary information. And one also like a thing that is quite powerful is this when you, because a lot of our customers are using Qovery to create what we call dynamic environments, so they can clone in just one click like any environment. And you can even clone like the external resources from that way. So if I want to create like another environment, so let's say now it's a demo of clone environment here. Okay, demo of clone already exists. So demo of. So you can duplicate the lifecycle job. So Qovery duplicates the lifecycle job. And if we execute that job, so all the environment, we deploy it, what will happen is that we'll see a third database that has been created into Haven as well in just a few seconds. So that's the beauty of this system. So if you want to create and duplicate infrastructure with lifecycle job, it's also possible to do that. Yeah.
Nice. And maybe if you could, Romaric, also put like the documentation and like the example you had on the chat, so people can access to it like straight away.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, thank you so much for showing us. And we should be able to see actually this collaboration with Haven pretty soon. So we can't wait to look at the finished product of what you are working on at the moment.
Yeah,
it looks quite cool.
It's the $1 billion product, like the to-do application. And thanks to Sebastian for like providing his help to just like troubleshoot all of that and make it work at the end.
Yeah. Okay, so obviously we presented you some things that we've done in the last months. Just keep in mind that there is a lot happening. We've done a lot of things, and these are some more example of what has been done in the last months. Obviously, one demo day of like 30 minutes is not long enough to tell you everything and show you everything. But if you want to have like more information, if you want to know everything that is going on, all that has been released, we have a changelog, and the changelog is released every 2 weeks at the end of the sprint, that last 2 weeks. And on there, you will have a detailed view of everything, and you will have links to the documentation as well. So it's really a good place to know what is going on. And if there's something that you wish to see in Qovery and that is not being released, we also have a public roadmap, and you can suggest some ideas that you have. If you have any needs or if there is anything you would like to see, just head to the public roadmap and like leave an idea there, and it's super useful for us as well.
Yeah, maybe I can just like quickly show the power of like environment viable interpolations, because it's something that we're like expected for a long time from our user, but it's really basic and easy to use. So yeah, if you can share again maybe my screen.
Yeah.
And by the way, if I go back to the to-do app that I have, actually I have one variable that is like using the environment viable interpolation. So you know that Qovery like injects automatically built-in environment variables. So that's quite powerful and quite easy to use. But sometimes what happens is from our users, they were expecting, for instance, if I look at these applications to maybe concatenate like the value that they get at the, on the output. So here it's the host external. So they get like the domain and the accessible domain from outside. But maybe what they want to add is the scheme just in front of that domain. So like HTTPS semicolon / the value that they get here. And so what they can do is that, so let me just like create first an alias here to do host. Okay. So now what they can do is that they can just basically create environment variables based on the other environment variables directly as a value. So by using our interpolation sign, so here, if I want to say that it's app to do host with a scheme. So what I can do is just basically I can add HTTPS this way and provide those brackets and say that it's to do. So by using this format that is explained in the documentation, then now you get access to environment variable interpolation, and I can just basically create that one, and we'll get the real value. I'm not sure that we get the value from here, but what will happen is that at the build time and the runtime, you will see the real value, complete one that you can use directly inside your application. Yeah, that's basically what I wanted to show. Thanks, Albane.
Yeah, it's not replaced on the interface. It's only a runtime.
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. And well, it's now time to talk about the future. And for that part, I'm really happy to have Alessandro with me because he will be able to add like extra information about it. So here is what is coming shortly. So first we have deployment order and parallel deployment. Tell me if I'm wrong, Alessandro, but I think that parallel deployment has many of both in our public roadmap. So I think that a lot of people are waiting for it. Can you tell us more about it?
Yeah, I'm gonna speak a little bit more about deployment order because we need to deploy this, to develop this first before giving you the access to the parallel deployment. Basically, yeah, something you were asking before, which is actually the deployment order followed by Qovery when we deploy our environment. So we are developing this feature to let you basically be able to configure the deployment order of the services, so you will be able to see the full pipeline of the deployment and create new stages, associate service stages. So basically say, I want to deploy first my database, then my backend, and then my front end, and this is exact order. Once we have this feature that actually is available via the API, so it's been released yesterday, and we are giving a few tests before publicly saying that it's available, we will be able to offer you as well the parallel deployment, which means basically that now that you can configure stages of deployment, we can say, okay, since there is no dependencies between the services within a same stage, we can basically parallelize the deployment of those services within a stage. And this is something that is going to happen just after, once we have the deployment order deployed, because we need it as well on the front end. And yeah, once we have these, we can also enable this parallel deployment feature as well.
Great. In the other thing that is coming next, we also plan to support ARM instance type. I know that some of our customers are waiting for it as well, as it's good for cost, performance, and environmental reason. I'm going to be able to say it. So yeah, that's another thing that should come soon. I don't know if you have anything to add about it.
No, you basically said everything. I mean, those are the main reasons why we were developing this. Is also for us as well to reduce cost.
Yeah, it's going to be. I mean, anyway, a lot of things that we release are used internally as well because we use our own products. So you know, and we also have audit logs plan. So I think this will be great for like a great improvement for visibility. So we know a little bit more on what happened within an organization. So I think it's mainly to see like which parameter has been changed and when, who in the organization has like created an environment, who triggered a deployment or something like this. I don't know if I like spoke about the main use case here.
Yeah, sure. We already have the view about the deployment parts because you have deployment history information already in the interface, but we're not exposing the what we call audit logs. Basically, you have a clear timeline of what happened on an environment or a service or an organization. So that, for example, if there is any issue in production or whatever, you can just investigate first, okay, what happened between for example, between my last deployment and the deployment just before. So you can know, for example, that that parameter has been changed by who and when.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also a necessity, like for all our customers, that needs to be like SOC 2 compliance and like HIPAA compliant, just to be able to track back like all the changes that has been operated like on their infrastructure. So that's something that is coming soon to product. Yeah.
Great. We have a question. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I let you answer, Alessandro.
It's something that we plan for we're to go first. So we're releasing right now the deployment order, and we expect by the end of the quarter to work to finalize both the points that you mentioned, Florent. I cannot give you an exact date, but it's something that is going to be in this quarter.
And yeah, again, like we try to update the public roadmap often, every like
2 weeks.
Yeah, every 2 weeks. Yeah. So every 2 weeks, Alessandro and I have a meeting and we update this public roadmap. So I would say like go and check the public roadmap, because you would have like you would see when the feature is in development, like, and when it's shipped. So that's usually quite reliable. So yeah, you would have always like maybe a 2-week delay, but that's a maximum that you can get. Yeah, thank you. Romaric just put the link. And the last thing that I want to talk about today is that it's going to be the last goodbye to the V2 very soon. So right now, the V3 cover almost everything. And I think that everyone is mainly redirected to it when using Qovery. However, there are still a few things left to make it disappear completely. And I know that our team is working on that. Maybe Alessandro, I will let it over to you to explain like what is left to do.
So I'd say that, let's say 90% of the
Oh yeah.
I can't hear you anymore. No.
I was thinking that it was my my turn, but actually it's it's one of Alessandro. But I can just like no,
Alessandro?
it doesn't work out. No worries, Alessandro. Just take your time to fix all of that. But from what I remember, we just released, like, by the way, today, one missing element that was like the creation of cluster.
Yeah, we can
hear you.
I'm sorry. It's the live effect. My phones anyway. What I was saying, just 90% of the interface right now is already available on the V3. What is missing is we delivered today the cluster creation flow. So now you can create new clusters directly on the V3, something that was in the V2 before. So it has been released this morning. So I tested by myself and it should work. So if you see any problems,
trust me.
And what's left actually is only 2 just pages from the V2, which are basically the GitHub app installation page and the billing page. So those are the 2 pages left, and we should have them available basically in the V3 in the next weeks. And
I'm pretty sure that customers, they don't miss to have like the billing page.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Personally, I cannot wait to have the V3 everywhere, because it's such a nice new version that is good to see it. So I think that we are coming to an end to this demo day. If you have any question, ask it now. Otherwise, you can always use the forum. Maybe we can put a link to the forum as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I can do that.
But thank you, Alessandro and Romaric, for joining me once again for this demo day. It's super useful to have you both every time. And thank you for everyone that has been watching today and that will watch in the future, and for supporting us. Again, if there is any feature you would like to see on Qovery, don't hesitate to ask for it on a public roadmap, and we will, Alessandro is gonna deal with it. But it's super important for us to build the product based also on your needs. So if I don't have any question now, I think it's time to wish you a good evening, and I see you soon for the next demo day.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Albane. Thanks, Alessandro, and
Thanks, everyone.
thanks to everyone. Yeah, have a good
Thanks.
day.
Have a good evening. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.